to see you back. And then, so next we've got Ben, and he's going to be talking to Save the Children and talking about our raffle. So I'll hand over to Ben.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for that, ladies. Thank you very much for all giving us an hour of your time. Thank you to Mirka for sort of moderating that chat. That were really interesting. Thank you. Yeah, there is still people watching on YouTube, because this is also streamed live via YouTube. If you're not watching it on Zoom and you're watching it on YouTube, please click like and subscribe. It does help us out. We are doing this for charity. It will get us further up the ranks in the YouTube world. We're going to speak a little bit more about Save the Children now. I'm going to introduce Helen. We can see there, look, she's wearing a red t-shirt. So no doubt it says Save the Children on it. And I'm going to talk a little bit. The raffle is still going. It's going well midday today. The link is in my bio. There are 42 prizes combined. They're worth about £5,500 now. I've just totted it up, and the tickets are £10 each. So good luck to anybody that's entered, and good luck to anybody that's going to enter. Right, hour number 23. Off we go to. Oh no, you're unmuted already. That's brilliant, Helen. Good morning, Helen. How are you?
Good morning. I'm really good. Thanks very much, Ben. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. To anybody, obviously we didn't get to speak to Helen last time. She had family commitments, so we're a member of Helen's team, but Helen's a fundraising manager over at Save the Children. And as we run a fundraiser for Save the Children alongside the Global Denim Hang, it's always a good idea to get a member of the Save the Children team on to tell us a little bit more about basically where the money's actually going. You know, a lot of people are putting their hands in the pocket to help. And I think it's important that we have a better understanding of where the money's going. The reason me and Amanda chose Save the Children is because it's a global charity, and obviously there's people from all over the world take part in this event, so everybody can relate to it. So yeah, Helen, I'll pass over to you. I'll put myself on mute for a bit so you can give yourself a bit of an intro, and we'll take it from there.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Ben. And just to start off with, just to say a huge thank you to you, Ben, for choosing Save the Children. And thanks to everybody for buying a raffle ticket and really helping. You are changing the future for children by buying a raffle ticket. It really, really does make a difference. If anybody's got any questions that I might be able to answer, if you want to just, if you're on the Zoom call, just drop them into the chat and I should be able to pick those up. But I'm just going to give you just a quick summary, I guess, of a follow-up to the last call that my colleague attended, the last Global Denim Hang back in May. And she talked about Cox's Bazar, which is in Bangladesh, which is the world's largest refugee camp. There's over 1 million people. It's the Rohingya refugees that have travelled from Myanmar due to the persecution that they've experienced there. So they're living in this huge refugee camp, and they're living in kind of makeshift tents in this camp. And as you can imagine, I'm sure for everybody here living around the world, certainly in the UK, the big message has been about cleaning your hands to do with COVID-19, keeping yourself clean. Now, if you're living in an area where you're having to share bathroom facilities, and these aren't bathroom facilities, I guess, as we know about it in the West, these are, you know, very basic hand washing facilities that are there. They're shared perhaps across 3, 4, 5 families, which makes social distancing, keeping clean really, really difficult. So what Save the Children has been doing in response to the to a potential crisis that's going to happen in Cox's Bazar is we've been going around to families providing hygiene packs. So it only costs $5 to provide a hygiene pack for a child, and that contains toothbrush, hand wash, soap, deodorant, things to sanitize your clothes with, so kind of washing powders. And that's literally all it's going to cost. And this is things that the families don't currently have. So we've also been going around and encouraging children to keep learning. So we've been providing learning packs for the young people, because we do know that, you know, education for children is so important. And that's one of the things that, you know, over here in the UK, we've had schools shut for the best part of 6 months. And I know it's the same in other countries around the world as well. So trying to keep some education going has been really, really important. And since we last spoke, we've now finished building a 60-bed treatment centre, so an isolation treatment centre There's 13 of those centres across the refugee camps. So it's not just one camp. There's multiple camps within Cox's Bazar. Excuse me. And Save the Children has built one with 60 beds. So that's an isolation centre for people to be able to go to be treated with severe COVID-19 if that's what they're experiencing. We don't know yet the numbers of cases that are there, but we do know that the beds are full. So people are, using them, which it's brilliant that we've had those facilities built, and it's not just for the refugees, it's also for the Bangladeshi people who live nearby, who can also access those services as well. So it's a really, it's open to anybody who needs those services. So that's where we're at in terms of Cox's Bazar. Our 4 kind of main pillars of our response to COVID-19 are still the same as they were, when we spoke to you guys a number of months ago. So we're focusing around saving lives by preventing and managing the pandemic, helping children learn and return to school, increasing financial resilience through providing safety nets for families in need, and keeping children safe in their homes and in their communities. So we know that lots of countries have got weak healthcare systems, and we're working really closely with the World Health Organization and healthcare teams across the world to tackle the pandemic, getting supplies and equipment out, training staff, and helping to get the right public health messaging out to communities. And we've got a team of public health experts who are working with the different countries across the world to provide the best possible advice, support, and treatment that we can to ensure that the pandemic has the least possible effect in terms of numbers of people being having a negative impact on their lives. So one of the things we're doing about supporting children's education, so we're quickly developing distance learning so children can continue their education. So for example, in Italy, we've been supporting with setting up virtual education so children can keep learning. For those in Europe, you may know Italy was one of the first countries with COVID-19. And our teams on the ground in Italy acted really quickly to be able to respond and keep children learning, keep them in education. We're also in the US, working in Kentucky, providing school meals for children living in some of the poorest areas. They were getting school meals before COVID-19, and we know that there's a need to be able to continue to provide that. So we've been working really closely with our partners in the US to be able to deliver food so that children don't go without because of COVID-19. For example, in a country such as Sudan, our mobile messaging squad, so that's a fleet of vehicles that go around with kind of a megaphone on top of them and signboards talking to communities about hand washing, social distancing, and other ways to prevent the spread of coronavirus. So some of the methods that we're using are really simple, but that's exactly what these communities need. They need simple messaging about how they to make sure that they limit the spread of this disease. So just to give you a little bit of context, I guess, in terms of the difference that your donations or your support makes, I think in terms of thinking about those raffle tickets that people are buying, and thanks to the donations that were made on the Just Giving page at the last Global Denim Hang. So just £2, $2.50 could provide a week's worth of water trucking for a displaced family living in Yemen. So that's for a family who may have had to leave their home, fleeing conflict, fleeing the war that's happening there. And it provides water for them. $5, as I mentioned earlier, provides that hygiene kit for a child, which is £4. $58.75 could pay for the construction of hand washing facilities, protecting children at school from the disease. £126 or $161 could pay for 15 litres of disinfectant to help sanitise a medical clinic. £1,581 or just over $2,000 could cover the running costs for a hospital unit for a month. So that's the cleaning supplies, the sterilisation materials, the fuel, and the generator, fuel for the generators. £2,000 or just over $2,500 would procure enough cartons of therapeutic food to treat approximately 58 children with acute malnutrition. So that's providing things like high calorie peanut paste for children suffering with acute malnutrition. and £6,000 or $7,677, which I think may be close to what's raised combined with both of the Global Denim Hounds, would support the referral and safe transport of 100 severely ill children to stabilisation centres. So the money that's being raised thanks to these events that Ben has been putting on and you've all been supporting, it changes lives. You're standing side by side with children by supporting Save the Children. You're enabling children who are living in the most complex environments to be given a chance for a better future. And from everybody at Save the Children, just a huge thank you to all of you for doing that. It's people like you, supporting this that makes it possible for children to keep learning, be protected and survive. So thank you all ever so much by coming along today and for supporting this. We're very, very grateful.
That's some really good information, that, Helen. Thank you very much for the breakdown. I mean, I think it's brilliant that there's companies like yourself, members of staff putting the neck on the line in these sort of places. When you say there's a refugee camp of 1 million people living in tents, I mean, we know how quick the virus ran over our cities and countries. So, I mean, it's kind of inevitable that it's going to run over. It's just a case of how much we can prevent it and how much we can. I mean, I don't want to sound too negative, but it is the reality. The way I see it is, if these, what adults, elder adults, children are going to lose grandmas, mums, dads. They could lose all three in a situation like this, and there's nothing we can do about that. But then you saying that the money that we've raised so far, at minute we're on about 2,300. I think we've raised on this event. We did just over 3 on the last event, and there is still people wanting to donate, but I'm not adding it to the raffle at the minute. I'm going to auction some off next week. So you won't see anything on the Just Giving page yet because it's all held within the raffle website, and then it gets transferred over after the raffle's been drawn, obviously. And when you think, that could happen to 100 children, and then us and these events have potentially helped 100 children get to a help centre, somewhere that's going to, let them carry on their lives and grow up. And then, I know it sounds daft and I don't want to get too deep, but then they're going to grow up, get older, have children, and then they're going to grow up, get older and have children. And so just by helping them 100 children, you're actually helping 1,000 lives. As for what that could do over the next 60 years, which is, it's an amazing thing, really. One thing I did want to ask you, Helen, and I don't know if anybody else has got any questions, please put them on down there below, is I was telling my children about this event yesterday. I mean, they couldn't understand why Daddy was staying up all night down in basement, and, they were asking all these questions, and I was telling them, and they understand the concept of charity. They know that when they get a bit older and they grow out of some toys, we pack them away and they go to a charity. They understand the concept of charity. And I was explaining this event to them, and I was saying it was going to save the children. And they were asking me what it goes on. I was saying, well, it'll be medicine and stuff for school and what have you. And then it was really funny because she said to me, my little girl, she's only 5, she said to me, oh, well, when you go and take all this stuff, can I come with you? And I said to her, well, that's not really how it works. I says, I don't have to take the stuff myself. I said, it's in other countries. And she was like, oh, I don't know if I'd want to go if it's in another country. But if you do take the stuff, could I take it with you? And I said, no. And she says, well, how does it get there? And I thought, that's a really good question. I don't actually know. How does it get? I know it gets from A to B, but the actual process and the things that you have to do in order to get it there, I'd be very surprised if it were a case of you've got 3 or 4 guys sitting to jump on a plane and just land there and give it to, it can't be that straightforward. And I thought that were a curious little mind got my brain ticking, and I thought that'd be a good question to put to you today, Ellen, if you didn't mind.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good question. And I'm happy as well, if your daughter ever wants to have a call with me, I can have a chat with her and explain a little bit more about it as well.
Yeah.
So Save the Children, we work across 120 countries across the world. we have different kind of country regions. So we've got Asia, we've got Europe, we've got the US, etc., etc. So we've got the kind of continent offices. We've then got regional offices. So we've got a regional office in every country that we're working in, and those regional offices coordinate the receiving materials. So it might be, if it's pneumonia, we've got vaccinations. It costs 30p to vaccinate a child against pneumonia, and it's the biggest killer of children under 5. So we work with global partners in order to be able to get those medicines out to the countries, and it's generally the receiving country that coordinates the movement of those materials, because they know best. They know how to get things into their countries, across their borders. We work with some countries which have really quite unstable political situations. So, for example, gave a couple of cost examples there about Yemen. If anybody knows anything about Yemen, it's a really in a very complex, challenging situation that Yemen's facing, and there's very often a blockade around the country, so nobody can come in and out. We're very lucky that we've got our in-country office within Yemen, who have a good relationship with the kind of district government in order to be able to transport materials into the country. And we're one of only, a couple of different aid agencies who are able to actually bring supplies into Yemen. And if you've seen anything about Yemen, you know it's on the brink of a famine. So we're actually able to bring food and supplies into the country. So it's very much working in partnership with the countries that are receiving the goods, because they know best in order to be able to get it there. So hopefully that answers your question, and I'll be able to give a more simplified version to your daughter if she ever wants.
So so I understand that. So we get it to the country, and then the country sort of takes over. Exactly. I mean, not that you can help this. This is nothing to do with the fundraising. Just logistically, do you ever get problems with that, especially in countries that are in conflict? I can imagine that you pay for a lot of vaccines, you send them over somewhere, and then they don't, it don't happen, A don't get to B, and stuff like that. I bet it's, I bet it's really challenging.
Yeah, there can be unforeseen circumstances where it doesn't get in, but we generally wouldn't send anything unless we know that it's going to be able to get there. The situation in Yemen, for example, it will get in. It's just there might be a delay. Stuff can get stopped for a couple of weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks, whilst the negotiations happen in order to be able to get it into the country. We'd never pay money to be able to kind of influence the people at the borders to be able to get things in. We would negotiate with them in order to be able to get the aid into the country that it's needed. So we wouldn't ever kind of start something if we weren't sure that we could get it in. And we work really closely with the governments of all the countries that we're working in. And as an organisation that's existed we're in our 101st year now. We are very well respected across the world, and we've got some really strong relationships with the governments of the different countries that we're working in, who support us to be able to deliver what we're doing, because they can see the value to their to the people in their countries about having Save the Children working there. So we always make sure we've got that really good relationship with people, and that's one of the pillars of our work. It's not just providing learning packs for children. It's also providing things, having conversations with people who can influence and who can drive big change. Because actually, if we don't have those challenging conversations at the top, then we're not going to create anything that's sustainable. And it needs to be sustainable, lasting change that's in these countries that need to evolve and develop their way of doing things.
Thanks for that. That was a good answer, very clear. And I suppose, the fact that you're 101 years old, it's allowed you to establish these really strong, long-lasting relationships. We have got it's a bit of a question for you, Helen. I'm sure that you're not going to want to speak about yourself too much, because we're here to talk about the children, but it is also very interesting, and I do think it relates to the charity. It's from our friend Maude, with the greatest smile in the world. He's up there at top. How you doing, brother? I reckon he might have done about 12 hours with us today.
Wow.
thought, maybe even a bit longer. He says, Helen, yeah, defo. He says, excuse me. He says, Helen, how long have you been working for Save the Children, and how did you get started, and what prompted you to choose Save the Children? There is a little bit more after that, but it's like the first 3-part question.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and I can see the rest of it as well, so I'll try and answer that at the end. So I started at Save the Children back in January last year. So I've been there 18, 19 months, although the last 4 months I don't really know what's happened in the last 4 or 5 months. It feels very strange. And okay, so the reason why I started working for Save the Children, actually, I go back to 2012. So I used to live in London. I worked for a charity. I was a tennis coach. I've always worked with children and young people. I was based in Southeast London and worked with some of the most kind of deprived communities. So for those that are aware, kind of like the Woolwich, Plumstead areas. And I worked with young people whose parents couldn't afford to send them to play tennis. So I used to do lessons for basically what people could afford. So I used to charge a mandatory fee of £1, so people were paying something. But actually, it was very, very affordable, because I was all about more people playing than making it very elite. And then the Olympics. I lived really close to where some of the Olympics were happening. I applied for loads and loads of tickets and didn't get any, and I was a bit annoyed, to be honest. So I thought, well, 2 fingers up to you, London. See you later. I'm off. So off I went travelling, and the plan was to travel around Southeast Asia for 6 months and then go over to Australia and continue tennis coaching on the East Coast. I thought it'd be quite nice to do it in sunshine rather than in the UK weather. It wasn't quite what I expected when I started coaching here. And then I was planning on volunteering for 3 months in Cambodia, just working at school. And I got to Cambodia and I just fell in love with the place and the people. And, if anybody's aware, they've had a very, turbulent past in Cambodia. They've suffered awful atrocities back in the 70s under Pol Pot. And, I really got to know the people and thought, do you know what, I think this might be better than if I go to Australia. So I'm just going to stick around for a little bit longer and see what happens. I stayed in Southeast Asia for 2.5 years. I lived a really remote, basic lifestyle in Cambodia, kind of no electric, no flushing toilet, things like that. Really, really very basic. It just kind of put me in touch with what I needed and, what I needed in life to make me happy. And what I needed was not a lot. It was just people around me who could make me smile. And that's what the people around me were doing. So I came back from there, moved back, came back to England, moved back in with my parents when I was 30, which was a bit of a shock to my system, and thought I need to do something to continue that. I've had this amazing life experience that would be such a shame not to take that further into my career. So I had a couple of different charity roles, and then one came up at an international development charity that worked in northern Thailand with a remote hill tribe community called the Karen Hill Tribe Trust. And I worked for them for just over 2 years. And that was kind of my first introduction to international development. Really tiny charity, just kind of 10 employees based across the UK and in the office in Thailand. And it gave me a really good start about what international development is. I thought it was just handing stuff out to people and then saying, see you later. It's so much more than that. It's about sustainable long-term change. You're giving people a step up. You're not giving them a handout. It's not a case of saying, well, oh, look at these people, they've not got a lot, we'll give them 50 quid and I'm sure that'll make the situation better. It's about, working closely with the people and getting them to change what they need, and actually just being a facilitator. So I was a facilitator to make that happen, which was really exciting. And then I kind of thought, Save the Children's always been a charity that I've admired from afar, and a role came up which was home-based with our main offices in London, and I live in North Yorkshire, so it's a bit far to be able to travel every day. And it came up and I just thought, I'm probably never going to get this opportunity again to work for Save the Children in this capacity. I'm going to go for it. And then here I am, kind of 18, 19 months later, working at Save the Children. It's just incredible. The scale of our work is unbelievable. We raise a huge amount of money, you know, in the hundreds of millions, but we spend hundreds of millions as well. So, you know, it's scalable, everything that we're doing. But what I find amazing is, you know, with those cost examples, £2, $3, $2.50, you know, it makes a difference. And it can be put to really, really good use. And I think, just in answer to your question about the organisations try to piggyback on your relationships, we work really closely with other people. So we're not just Save the Children. So we work with the World Health Organization. We also partner with other agencies such as the Red Cross, Médecins Sans Frontières, UNICEF, a number of other organisations to be able to deliver what we deliver. We're not in competition with people. We collaborate because, you know, we don't have that relationship with our partners. So, you know, the Cox's Bazar example of the refugee camp in Bangladesh, we built an isolation centre with 60 beds. There were another 13 isolation centres that were built in total. So we were just one of those 13. The other agencies raised the money to be able to do those ones. So within that refugee camp, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but there's, you know, maybe 10 camps that make up the Cox's Bazar, and each one of those will have a leading partner involved in it. So Save the Children are the leading partner for one of them, and the isolation centre that was built is in the camp that we lead on. But it's very much in collaboration with everybody else, which I think is. I didn't know that before I started working for Save the Children, that they work so closely with other people. And again, it's just about making things long-term and sustainable. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Thoroughly. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So as a fundraising manager, day to day, we are obviously getting into too much detail because we don't need to know what size dress what your dress size is. But what I was going to say is, what is it like day to day for you? What, you know, when you get up, what are your general tasks as a fundraising manager? You know, does that mean you've got a big team, a little team? You know, how is that structured?
Yeah, so I am one of 4 managers, and we manage a team of 4 or 5 kind of local fundraising managers. We're just a small part of the fundraising team. So there's about 22 people that sit in our department. There are, across kind of our fundraising and marketing, there's about 150 people that form that. And my team's role is all about local fundraising. So it's working with individuals within our local communities who want to fundraise for Save the Children. So Ben, that's how you fell onto my radar, being based in South Yorkshire, which is not very far away from where I am. That's how I ended up picking that up, and just, you know, having a chat with you before the one that took place last time. So we work with individual people who want to fundraise for us. We also work with companies. So if there's a company that might have a corporate social responsibility program that they might want to support charity with, we will partner with them and be able to, you know, demonstrate where the impact of where their donation is going to be. So we work very closely with companies. We work with schools as well. So we might go into a school and do a presentation about the difference that their support can make. So for anybody that's based in the UK, you may have heard about Christmas Jumper Day, which is a Save the Children initiative. And we ask people on the second Friday in December every year to wear a Christmas jumper and donate, if they can, £1 or a couple of pounds to Save the Children. And that's kind of our flagship fundraising event that we've got each year. And we promote that in schools. So lots and lots of schools want to take part. It's something quick and easy that they can do. And what's really lovely about the schools is it's children fundraising for children, which I find really inspiring. And it gives me a lot of hope for the future. If our children are, you know, looking outwards and want to help, then it just tells me, I think, that everything will be okay in the future. So we do that. So that's kind of we're based on that kind of local fundraising. The rest of the organisation focuses around some other areas. So we've got kind of philanthropists, major donors. We've got events that the organisation runs to be able to raise money. Anything you can think of in terms of how to raise money, we're working on it, and we're figuring out how to do it and how to make that possible. So yeah, my team is all about building individual relationships with our supporters, and being able to raise the profile of Save the Children within our local communities, because we work locally in the UK as well. So we've been providing emergency grants during COVID-19 to families in the UK to be able to get grocery vouchers, to be able to buy furniture so that they might not have a dining table to be able to work from, or they could buy perhaps a tablet to be able to do schoolwork and things like that. So we've also been doing local work in the UK. And again, my role is just to raise awareness of the fact that we can provide that support to people and we can be there for them. I've just seen a question about Premier League clubs. The Christmas jumper date. So we partner, one of our leading partners is Arsenal Football Club. And we also have a number of other football clubs who kind of take part in our Christmas jumper day stuff. So yes, we do have some of them take part. We had a couple of, I'm going to probably get it wrong and call them, put them in the wrong league, but you kind of League Two clubs that did some stuff for us last year, that got all the players wearing a Christmas jumper, and yeah, getting them to do it and doing collections and things like that. So yes, we do have some of them doing it. We're keen to get more. The more people we can get doing it, I think the more awareness that will be raised about why they're doing it, and I think that's the important bit.
I think I didn't realise Christmas Jumper Day was a Save the Children initiative. Obviously, I give my children £1 on second Friday every December, if you know what I mean, so they can go and enjoy the day. But that's quite a new initiative. As far as I'm concerned, it's sort of like maybe 7 or 8 years old. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm digressing a little bit now, but that really has become a big initiative. It's on the TV, it's on the radio, it's in all the schools, like you said, Premier League clubs. So you're talking about superstars, sports superstars here, supporting it. I mean, who come up with that idea then? Because it were a good one.
It was one of those, there's a fundraising thing each year, fundraising conference each year called I Wish I'd Have Thought of That. And that is, one of the ones that regularly comes up. Something so simple, such a simple concept, just to stick a jumper on and give a couple of pounds to charity. I think it was just from a brainstorming idea. The thing about fundraising is to keep it simple and try not to make it too complicated. And I think that hit the spot perfectly in terms of something so simple, to be able to use. I think there's lots of like coffee mornings and other events and bits and pieces that happen for charities. And I think just at the time, we were the only charity that was thinking about Christmas and something specific for Christmas that people could just do on a one-off. But yeah, I think it was just through a brainstorming session that somebody came up with it, which I'm sure will be in bold capital letters on their CV for eternity. That they were the one that the words came out of Christmas Jumper Day. So yeah, it was just through sitting down and having a chat about it. So yeah, some amazing people with some really amazing ideas within the organisation.
Yeah, I find that really interesting. It's really cool. Are you allowed to share with us? Oh, actually, just before we move on, this was a question that came up last time we did it. And so I will throw it at you now, Helen, because there's obviously a different group of people listening now. Every pound that you donated, how much actually goes to the charity once you've paid for your infrastructure, obviously your staff and your rent and stuff like that? So I remember it being quite a lot.
Yeah, so for each pound we get 88 pence is spent on delivering programmes.
That's where
which is, as I mentioned earlier, we do have to spend a lot. We can't deny that we have to spend a lot on a fundraising department, but the return on that investment is huge. So we've got lots of people fundraising, and the outlay for that is a lot. But we have to speculate to accumulate, and that's exactly kind of the approach that we make. And if something isn't working, if we're spending money on something and it's not generating enough of a return, we'll try something else, because ultimately we want to raise as much as we possibly can to put towards our programs. So yeah, just 12 pence goes on generating that 88 pence that goes out to the project. So I think it's significantly low amount that we do.
To be fair, I do as well. I think it sounds perfectly fair and very reasonable. Well, I mean, if anybody disagrees or has got an opinion on it, please put a comment in. But because I think a lot of the time people do get worried about donating to charity because they're scared that 50% of what they donate goes to this sort of stuff. Is that a myth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. It's one of those things we've got to be, not very thankful to the media for. Some people, they like to shed a bit of an opinion on how charities spend their money. Charities are run, have to be run like a business. You wouldn't run a business that didn't make a profit. And we have to run our fundraising in a way that we spend money, but we bring more back thanks to that fundraising that we're doing. Any charity that is, spending more than they're bringing back needs to that they're not going to be able to deliver what they want to deliver. So it really needs, a thorough kind of business plan needs to be in place in order to be able to know that what you're doing is going to bring the money back in that you need in order to be able to spend. Because the aim of the game is to, make the world better. Like, that's what charities exist for. They exist because there's gaps in services, there's gaps in what's out there, and they exist to make the world a better place, and to fill some of those gaps, be it short term, long term, medium term, all different types. It might be, if it's an aid organisation, they're just there to plug an immediate gap. It could be like Save the Children with international development, that actually it's working with those partners to create long-term sustainable solutions to problems that the countries are facing. So I think it's a bit of a myth, to be honest, that money is, that for every pound, 50p or half of it goes on generating that. It could be, if it's a startup charity, their overheads might be a lot. They might be significant. They may not be able to negotiate their rents, or they might have had to have an outlay of purchasing all of their IT equipment, for example, that would drive up their costs in year 1, year 2, year 3. But as you kind of go further into the business plan, you would like to see that actually the balance shifts, and more money is getting spent on the programs than it is on generating that money.
No, I think that's really, I think it's good to know that, and I think everybody else listening would agree. One thing I am just going to do really quickly, Ellen, I have still got a couple of other questions, but I'm just going to cough, just excuse me. And then I'll get a drink of water after I've just done this. Ellen, I did want you to meet Amanda, who you can see on your screen as 23 ounce. I know that me and you speak regards to fundraising and putting all that in place. Amanda is my global denim hand partner, if you like. So the website and the links and the logistics of getting these events working, Amanda works just as hard. It's just the way his roles are divvied off. You speak to me a lot more than you speak to Amanda. So a few people have said it today throughout the event. They've said, "Oh, thanks them for doing it," and which is lovely. But it's like it's not me. We're a team, if you know what I mean. So I just wanted to introduce you both because you know each other now. That's that. Yeah, what I was going to say is you mentioned like Arsenal Football Club and other companies, big companies that go out the way to help you, who you really appreciate. Are you allowed to give us a few examples of that? I'm sure it's not secret information, is it?
Yeah. So, hi Amanda, by the way, and thank you ever so much as well for putting everything together. Really, really grateful. I was only in contact with Ben because his name came up on the Just Giving page, so that's how I'd got his details to get in touch with him. So thank you both ever so much. So Arsenal is one of our partners. Arsenal have laid football pitches in the Syrian refugee camps and provide football training to the young people living within those camps. So that's one of the really, really successful partnerships that we've got with Arsenal. We've also been working with GlaxoSmithKline, GSK. We work really closely with them. Their employees all take part in significant fundraising activities for Save the Children. We partner with, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, just a few of them. We've worked with Walls, the ice cream company, to source sustainable vanilla. So we working in partnership with them with communities in Madagascar. So Madagascar is one of the best vanilla producers around the world, and we've been working with that company to ensure that the vanilla that they're putting into those products is sustainable, and that the farmers are getting paid a fair amount for what they're putting into it. So there's a few examples of some big ones. We've also got examples of, you know, local companies, kind of that are regional across the UK, that provide support. So we work with local accountants firms. We work with solicitors firms who might want to get their employees involved with Save the Children and might want to do a fundraiser for us. I don't know, they might want to do an annual dinner, perhaps, to raise money for Save the Children. Let me just try and think of a few that might come to mind. We've just got a wealth management firm on board that are based on the west coast of the UK. They've just come on board, and it's actually the director of that company who has decided to pledge a certain percentage of the profits of his company to Save the Children, and he's going to match it. And he's going to be doing a trek. Was meant to be doing the Inca Trail in Peru in October. That might not be happening for a little while, but as soon as he is able to, he'll be going off to do that for us. We're also kind of with companies, you name it, we're in talks with them. Anything that we can see is having a synergy with our values, and the mission that we're trying to achieve, and any company that is like-minded to what we're trying to achieve, we will have a conversation with them. And that's whether that be them approaching us to have those conversations, or actually quite often it's us approaching them to be able to have those conversations. So it very much kind of works on a two-way in terms of the kind of corporate support that we get. But we're very fortunate that we've got some brilliant partners. But if anybody is working for owns a company, working for a company that is interested in to learn more about what Save the Children does, and thinking about a way of working together more closely, please do get in touch. I'd be more than happy to I'd love to continue the conversation.
Thank you very much for that, Helen. A question that I will ask, because obviously we are, this is a global denim hand, so we have a lot of retailers on, we have a lot of brands on and stuff, and a few times today it's been brought up, well, a few times during the last 24 hours, it's been brought up about how, COVID has affected businesses and stores and things like that. And I just wondered how your Save the Children shops had been affected by the whole. I know in my local town, a few that I would visit regular, they've now got signs on windows basically saying this store will never open again. And I just wondered how it had an effect on your stores, or if it's something that you've managed to be able to, work around.
Yeah, so we have, I think we've got over 70 kind of retail charity shops across the UK. And what we've been doing is we've been doing a very much kind of a phased return of opening the shops. So quite a few of our shops are just run by volunteers. So they're managed by volunteers that don't have any paid members of staff in them. And those shops are the ones which haven't opened as yet. And the reason for that is, and some other shops that are staffed by, do have a paid manager. The big challenge we've got is the majority of our volunteers are aged into a bracket which would put them into a vulnerable category. And we can't and won't put them at risk. We won't put them into a situation where, it's unsafe for them to be in it. So we have faced a challenge of, we want to open the shops, but who's going to be working in the shops? We've opened some, so I think we've opened 20 out of 70 so far. And business is booming in the shops. Something during lockdown, everybody's had time to do a spring clean, a summer clean, a pre-autumn clean, you name it, they've cleaned it. and they've got bags and bags and bags of stuff to be able to drop off at the shops, which is fantastic. It's brilliant. Our issue is just having the staff or the volunteers available to be able to go through it and sort it. So what we're having to do is we're having to look at our shop volunteers and diversifying who they are. So, big question we've got is there an opportunity to engage more students perhaps in some volunteering in the shops to be able to get them open and to be able to have people on the ground. But yeah, the ones that have opened have been doing really well. I don't know in terms of, some of them, what will happen. I think, there'll be lots of questions raised around the ones that are in city centres about footfall and things like that, and rates and whether or not that's viable to be able to keep them open. We've also got, so Save the Children has its kind of standard charity shops. We've also then got something called Mary's Living and Giving, which are kind of high-end charity shops, as it were. And those were the very first to open up. And again, they've been doing exceptionally well. I think people have realised they liked, that charity shops aren't just, in any retail shop, it's not just a shop, it's a community, and it's somewhere you go and you speak to so-and-so behind the till that you've seen every week or every month for years and years and years. And I think that social side of our charity shops is so important. And I think, often we don't necessarily put the emphasis on the value that brings to our local communities. And the charity shops on the high street are really, really important, and they are hubs, for people within their local community. So yeah, we the ones that have opened are doing really well. It's the challenges around the risk assessments and making sure that they are COVID secure. And obviously we're opening reduced times. I think that was the trial that was done. So actually just shorter days and less days, so that we can make sure that we've got people available to be able to staff them. But I don't know what the longer term looks like in terms of, the next 12 to 18 months. I'm just not sure. But we, fortunately, as charities, we do get some relief on the cost of the shops in terms of the business rate. So that is one advantage that we've got to be able to have that.
It's I don't know where that's going from. Who's not muted? Oh, there you go. They've obviously caught on. Well, I hope you don't lose any. I suppose in a way, I mean, I don't know, I could be completely wrong, but common sense tells me that you might be looking about going online with it. But you're kind of preaching to converted when you come to how important shops are, because I think anybody that loves the clothes, it don't matter if we spend, £150 on a pair of well-made, handmade jeans. Anybody that loves the clothes, I mean, who don't love Aladdin's cave, a rummage in a charity shop. Do you know what I mean? You're always looking for that gem, and if you've got a bit of time to pass, and you're passing a charity shop, you're going in, and you're getting stuck in. You might not find out, but I understand how important they are. That's really cool. Well, I hope everything works out all right on that front for you. Like you said, it's a bit unprecedented at the minute. Fingers crossed. We've only got 10 minutes left. I think we've covered a lot. If anybody's got any questions for Helen, please do bob them into the comments box. I feel like we've been quite thorough, and it's been very informative but fun chat. So Helen, I'm going to put you on the spot now. I only do this occasionally, and I've done it with a few of the Denim dudes that we've had on today, so I think it'll be fun to do it with you as well. I'm going to drop you on a desert island, Helen. And it's going to be warm majority of time, which you'll be used to from your Cambodia experience. But you're also going to get tropical rain. Okay, but all you're allowed to take is 4 items of clothing, an album, a book, a film, and I'll leave you with your last meal before you defend for yourself on coconuts and fish.
Right. I know the album because it's the album that got me through traveling, and that would be Fat Freddy's Drop. That would be the album of choice that would get me through things.
What album's that? Sorry, I missed that.
Fat Freddy's Drop, and I'm used to being able to remember the name of it. So Fat Freddy's Drop. So I'm going to Google it very quickly. Well, I listened to it every day when I was traveling. It's just, in my opinion, just the best possible listening album, and you can have a little dance around to it as well if you're that way inclined. So yeah, that's definitely. Is
that the name of the album or the name of the band?
The name of the band, based on a true story, is what the album's called. It's the band is called Fat Freddy's Drop, and they're a New Zealand band.
Cool, that's good.
So that's who I'd listen to, because they just get me in the right place, I think, for what I was going to be doing. A book's an interesting one, because I don't really read books, to be honest with you. So I probably wouldn't be that bothered about taking a book. I think my only use for a book would, and this is probably totally the wrong thing to say, and everybody's going to hate me, but would be good to start a fire with if I needed to on the desert island. So that's I'd just take some crappy newspaper.
Just get Yellow Pages.
Exactly, take Yellow Pages to start a fire.
You're not the first person to suggest that during the last 24 hours. Don't worry about that. So that's fine. We've got an album, we've got a book.
I've got an album and I've got a book. Exactly, the Encyclopedia Britannica. That would do me for forever. And what items of clothing would I take with me? I'd definitely take like a really big hoodie. I'd have to have something that just I could kind of snuggle up in. You know, the kind of ones where you can kind of sit with your knees up and you can fold it over the top of you. I'd have one of those, I think. So a massively oversized one of them. I've got an obsession at the moment with dungarees. So I reckon I'd probably take a pair of dungarees with me.
I think they'd be really practical as well. Plenty of pockets.
Apart from when you're bursting for the loo, just to add, they are not practical at those points. So I think I'd take a pair of dungarees. I'd take a massive oversized jumper. I'd take with me something to wear in the ocean, because when I was traveling, I trained to become a dive master. So I definitely want some things that I could wear to go and swim around in.
Scuba suit. You're the first to ever suggest a scuba suit.
There we go. Yeah, because I can go in and out. And again, you can actually, I think I've thought a lot about survival during my time. Maybe when I was traveling, I was preparing for the worst, but you can, that you can tear the hems of them and use it to start a fire with.
Yeah.
So I'd have that. The other piece of clothing, and this is probably pushing the lines of what clothing would be, but I would also take some flippers so that I could go into the sea and I could swim around. So that would be my footwear that I would have. I wouldn't have any other footwear with me. So that's what I'd take in terms of clothing. I probably wouldn't bother with a film because I've got, an amazing scene to look at. So I'm quite happy with that. That keeps me kind of pretty content. And then what would my last meal be? My last meal, I think it would be some sort of kind of coconut fish curry. That would be the one. So just made by any kind of 50 plus aged person in Asia would make me this curry, because they cook it like your grandma would make it, and it doesn't matter where it is, they all taste a bit different, but they're all just cooked from the heart. And I just have any meal that was cooked from someone's heart, because it always just tastes so much better. And it might be the MSG that they throw into it, but it generally tends to taste much better when it's cooked by a grandma.
Seeing as it's a coconut fish curry and you're getting stranded on a desert island and you decided not to take a film, I'll let you take some MSG.
Nice one.
It can be your last and your first meal up on the island. So compromise.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, no worries. Right, we're pretty much ready to draw it to an end. If you're watching it on, that was a very powerful conversation. Thanks for everybody that stayed and listened, and for people that's put comments in. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and like, please. That would be a big, big help. If you want to support Save the Children with the Global Denim Hang, please do follow the link in my bio at Clobbercam, just at Clobbercam on Instagram. That'll take you straight through to the raffle page, and you can straight away buy a ticket. They are £10 each. There's over £5,000 worth of prizes. I can tell you now, regards a raffle, I'm just double checking the tickets. So we're on 244. We're on 244. So I think we can push that up just a little bit more. Maybe share it out on your Facebooks or whatever you feel like you could do for us. Helen, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. What you got planned for the rest of the day?
Not a lot, I don't think. I'm really lucky where I live. I live in beautiful countryside, so I think a long walk is on the cards for this afternoon. So yeah, I think that should be my plan. But just to say thanks again to you guys for organising this, and thanks for everybody for attending it, and just choosing to support Save the Children. It's, as I mentioned earlier, you are making a difference to children's lives. You're changing the future for them just by being here and just by supporting, buying raffle tickets, or if you're at the last one, kind of donating to the Just Giving page. So thanks so much. And if anybody wants to talk more about Save the Children, I'll just drop my email address into the chat. Please feel free just to drop me a message. It'd be great to chat more with people. But yeah, thanks again. It's been wonderful getting a chance to join you. You definitely threw some questions at me that I had not even thought about. So thank you very much for that on a Sunday morning. But yeah, it's been great to meet you all, and hopefully, there may be more of these that I might be able to come along to.
Good. No, really appreciate it. And yeah, I think we plan to do the next one in around 6 months, Helen. So right. Hopefully we can get you back on board then for a bit of a catch up. Brilliant.
Sounds good. Cool. Well, thanks ever so much.
Lovely. You take care, and thank you for your time.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
Right, Amanda. I shall mute myself in a minute. I'm going to go behind the scenes a bit and just quick bathroom stop and get another bottle of water and whatnot. So I'll let you introduce our next guest from Denim. This should be a really fun one, and I'll join you all back in a couple of minutes.
Thanks.